for our 2-year anniversary. We'll talk about that later. But today, Jim Trotter, is the 2-year anniversary of Brother from Another. That means, well, Brother from Another is potty trained, I think. Potty trained, walking, running, about a year away from preschool, but we're doing all right. Man, good to see you. How are you?
I dressed up for the occasion. Someone told me it was a
Yeah.
2-year anniversary, so I said, let me get out of the T-shirt
I
and
didn't get
actually
the
put
memo.
on a shirt and tie. You
There it is, right
What is
there.
your show?
That was episode 1. Michael Smith looks like he's 2 years old there. Man.
We grow up quickly, don't we?
You know, yeah, that was that. That's when we had our backgrounds, Trotter. We had just a Brother from Another background. That's it. We didn't have our living rooms and kitchens and studies. It was just, that was it. It was just our maiden voyage.
You didn't need it. People come for the content, for the personalities. That was all. That's all you need.
All right. Well, I love it. Hey, man, I see something. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about this anyway. But as I looked at your feed today, and you and Michael Smith, he's not here, but he's kind of here. Because you and Michael Smith are of a like mind, and I just want you both, you're going to represent you and you're going to represent Michael Smith. I want you to explain this to me. What do you mean Lamar 1, critics 0? Like, is that a thing? Like, who
Yeah, it's like
this is a straw man. What are we talking about?
Nah,
What critics?
nah. It's people like Michael Holley saying you got to sign the deal. You got to do the deal, right?
Okay.
Right?
But no. Okay, you're saying that. Okay, I got that. Because I thought as Michael, he didn't have time to get to this on Monday. He was talking about, oh yeah, Lamar looked really distracted yesterday, didn't he? Okay, first of all, they're playing the Jets. Okay, so that's not a referendum on anything. You're playing the Jets. They had the worst defense in football last year, or second worst, whatever it is. A lot of people look good against the Jets. And it was never, for me, Trotter, it was never about the distraction of Lamar Jackson. Like, oh, he can't have this contract negotiation and go out and play good football. People do that all the time in industries across this great land of ours. So that's not really saying much to me. I'm saying to you, this was all well and good, and you think this contract negotiation is really a matter of dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And then, since the last time we spoke, have you noticed that some of the contract details were leaked? This confidential contract negotiation, previously confidential, now we know the details. We know, oh, how do we know this? That the Ravens offered him about $250 million, and it was about $133 million guaranteed at signing, which is very competitive with Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. But Lamar wants fully guaranteed money, and the Deshaun Watson contract really put him in that space to have a guarantee. How do we know this? Why do we know these details? Who's been talking?
Well, let me say this: regardless of who's been talking, it is only going to complicate negotiations next offseason. And really, hey, and let me say this to you. When I say Lamar 1, critics 0, I'm also talking about those people who say he should not, in essence, bet on himself this year. And that's really what I meant by that. Lamar is going to go out, I believe, and have a fantastic year. And when he does, all it means is that his leverage is going to increase each year that these negotiations do not get done. So the salary cap, we know, is going to jump next year with all this new TV money and revenue coming in, et cetera. You know, I've heard from union people or agents, I should say, that they anticipate that it could go up by $20 million next year, and then more the following year after that. So if you're looking at that and you're Lamar Jackson and you're saying, why do I want to sign a deal with $130 million guaranteed when I got a player over here who I believe that I am better than and I am more accomplished than, why should I sign for roughly $100 million less guaranteed than what he got? So this is why I say again, one reason I am rooting for Lamar is to change the landscape, not only for this young man to get paid, but also for him to change the landscape for all of the NFL players who are repeatedly told, get what you can while you can, because it's such a violent game that nothing is guaranteed to you. Well, Dan, get your guarantees, and it will be guaranteed to you. So hopefully, if Lamar plays this out this way, he will set sort of the foundation for those who are coming behind him. And I will say this to you again, Michael Holley. I am fully intrigued to see how committed Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are going to be to pushing the boundaries as well about getting fully guaranteed contracts.
As you have stated so well, the business of football is doing well and will continue to do well. Everybody who's an NFL owner, congratulations to you. You've made a great investment, and your investment will continue to pay off for you and future generations. So nobody has to worry about the security of football or the future of football. But I'm talking about this negotiation. I said to you last week, and I knew something was weird. Something was off to me. And I wasn't sure what it was, and now I know. Now we know.
What do you know? What do you know?
Because of the leaks. Because of the leaks.
What do you know?
So wait a minute. Look, Lamar Jackson, this is what I know, okay? Lamar Jackson wasn't signing this big contract when lots of quarterback dollars are out there. The Ravens wanted him to sign a contract. Okay, he wants them. They want him. What's the problem? We know what the problem is. They are off by about $100 million.
Guaranteed.
Can you imagine a negotiation?
Guaranteed.
Hey, we're getting a little close. We're close. We're only about $100 million apart. That's all. He wants a guaranteed contract. They don't want to give it to him. And the question is, the question that exists in every negotiation, whether you're $50,000 off or $100 million off, are the parties willing to meet in the middle? Are the Ravens willing to go even further for Lamar Jackson and say, hey, we can't guarantee 230 or 240, but we'll guarantee 190, 200. And is that enough for Lamar, or is he so insistent, and which I'm not hating on either, is he so insistent on a guaranteed deal that the Ravens seriously have to think about moving on from Lamar Jackson, because he's not going to relent. He's not going to sign for anything less than what he thinks he's worth. And he knows some of these quarterback poor, these sorry, abject quarterback situation teams, they'll do it. Like the Browns did.
So let me ask you this. So if the Ravens decided that Lamar is not going to budge, and therefore they have to move on from a quarterback who was a unanimous MVP a few years ago, a quarterback who has consistently taken them to the playoffs when fully healthy, what is the message that the Ravens are then sending to not only their locker room, but also their fan base? That it's not like they don't have the money. As you just said, the business of football is doing very well. So it's not about a lack of money. It is just about not wanting to set the foundation or lay the foundation for players who are coming behind Lamar Jackson. I'm trying to figure it out here, because if he is everything that you have said he is, and you have built your entire offense around him, including the way that you draft, and now you say, simply because he wants a fully guaranteed contract, we're going to move on from him, and you assume that you can just go out and find someone else to plug and play.
Yeah.
What is the message that you as an organization are sending to your fan base?
You know what's scary, Trotter? And you tell me, because you've covered football at a high level for a long time. What's scary is that you don't necessarily have to have a message for you to sell it to your fan base, for your fan base to accept it. I'm gonna cite, one thing that I know, and one thing that I think I know, and you can tell me if what I think I know is actually true. One thing I know is that owners and general managers usually start talking about, what's in the best interest of the organization. It's good business, or it sets a bad precedent for a monstrous contract that 99% of their fans, let's be real here, 99% of their fans can't even relate to. I mean, it's all over there. And I can't relate to it either. It's over my head. It's over your head. Just million. Nobody well, very, very few people who call themselves Ravens fans have just seen, $35 million. Okay, here, sign this. You get $35 million guaranteed. You get $100 million guaranteed. So they're thinking, well, how much is, you've heard it. How much is enough? You already got more money than God. People will spend your money for you. And the other thing.
Can I interrupt just for 1 second? Because I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm going to be real here and transparent. When the NFL coming off of the pandemic, if you'll recall, no fans in the stadium, all of that and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I remember we at the NFL Network, many of us were asked to basically take a pay cut over a 6-year period or whatever, right? And some voluntary, some mandatory. Okay? All cool. I get it. Big business, whatever. You want to protect
No, we're right there.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. So we voluntarily take the pay cut, and then the new TV deals come in, and the new revenues come in, and we see where it's all going, and all of a sudden, 100+ people get laid off from the network.
Ooh.
And so now I'm upset about it from this standpoint. You told me that you wanted us to take these pay cuts to help the network, right? The bottom line and all of that.
We did it. Right.
We came up with creative ways for programming, all of that. And now you get through it, you sign these record deals, and now you're going to lay off people who suffered in part to help your bottom line. And so I remember I texted a couple owners and I said to them, when is enough enough? To speak to your point about what fans might say about Lamar. And to a man from each of these owners, separately and independently, the answer was exactly the same. That is a good question. So I'm not sitting here worrying about what anyone thinks about Lamar in terms of what's enough. That's for Lamar to decide, and I'm not getting in his pockets.
And I'm with you.
Go
Trotter,
ahead, I'm sorry.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100% on that. I'm saying, so I guess if you agree with that point, I think you're going to agree with my second point, and that is when it comes down to lockouts, when it comes down to player strikes, and you've covered these labor conflicts between the players and ownership, people who in their everyday lives might say, wait a minute, we're getting a raw deal from management. We're getting a raw deal from ownership. Let's stick together. Let's stick together so we can get more money for what we're doing. Those people who will do that in their everyday lives, flip it around, and generally the owners get the benefit of the doubt in these labor disputes. It's rich. It's the richer tend to get the benefit of the doubt against the rich, because players, they see a face fans see the face of a player, and they hear that this player wants to increase his millions by 5% or 8%. And that's what they focus on. And I think owners,
for 2 reasons.
I think owners take advantage of that. They take advantage of that and say, we're going to win. Ultimately, we'll win the PR. We'll win the PR battle. We're going to win it.
Absolutely, they do, for 2 reasons. Number one, as you and I have talked about, people just want their football. We're like Pavlov's dogs, as I've said. When the whistle blows, we come running on Sundays. But the other thing here is fans know exactly what players make. They have no idea what the profit margins are for an NFL team, because they don't have to open their books. So it's easier for them to come down on players and look at players negatively, as opposed to say, damn, I didn't know that this owner had this much to go out and buy another yacht on top of the one he already has. So it's easier to come after the player in that. And I get it. I understand it. But from that standpoint, that's where the players have to be strong. And from Lamar Jackson's standpoint, all I have seen, Lamar Jackson is that dude to say, you know what? I've been betting on myself my whole life, and I'm not about to change right now.
Well, it's a fascinating. I think it's tension now, and we'll see if the tension. It's going to go one way or the other. The tension will be resolved, and they'll come to a deal at the end of the year, or the tension will escalate throughout the year. Every day you don't have a deal with Lamar Jackson, that should be an uncomfortable day in Owings Mills, Maryland, and anybody who is paying attention to the Baltimore Ravens. That's uncomfortable. You get into October, November, December, and you don't have a deal with your franchise quarterback, I'm a little nervous. I'm unsettled.
And remember, Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, is already on record as saying he has an issue with that deal that Deshaun Watson signed.
Yep.
And that he felt it was bad for business. So we know where he stands on this right now. The question is he willing to move off of that? And if Lamar has the kind of year that I think he is going to have and that potentially the Ravens could have, it's going to be really interesting when we get to next offseason.
And I love your point so much. I'll just say this before we take a break and then come back and talk with our first guest. I love your point so much about owners and how much they have, and we're just not. I mean, like you're not a football fan because you're a fan of ownership. You're a football fan because you like to see all the athleticism and speed and just all the things that players do on the field. So you're not really paying attention to the owners unless you're inspired by their business acumen. But you think about two people. Think about Stan Kroenke. Stan Kroenke doesn't just own the LA Rams. I mean, Stan Kroenke owns several franchises nationally and internationally. So this is not the only way he's making money. You look at Robert Kraft in New England. He bought the Patriots overpriced in the early 1990s for $175 million. And now they're like the second or third most valuable sports franchise in the world. He's not hurting for anything. So the money will keep coming to them without scrutiny, without people counting their dollars. Whereas players, hey, you got the contract out, and we always refer to the contract. Hey, you paid X million for that. Whenever a player has an incompletion, interception, does something boneheaded, we keep going back to their contracts when we don't really talk about the money of the guys who are paying them. I'm telling you, Trotter, this story just intrigues me because I'm not sure it's going to be some great happy ending. And Lamar Jackson says, "I always wanted to be here. There was never a doubt in my mind."
When you say happy ending for whom?
Okay, for the Ravens.
For the Ravens. Okay, I just wanted to be clear about that. Because I think Lamar is going to be fine regardless of what happens.
That's right. I agree.
And
we're going to be fine. Man, we got a show. We got a show. Oh, I'm excited. 2-year anniversary. We made it. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.